So the thought of all the days in the year to celebrate men, I mean, that is after the women must have had about 6 different celebrations. And of course, trust women, we'll always take it upon ourselves to celebrate the women and make them feel special. Truly, they are queens and our princesses, and we literally adore, value, and treasure them. But is it the same for the male folks? Do we get celebrated as we should be and ought to be celebrated by the women folk? And of all the days in the history of the 66 days that we have in a year, November 19 happens to be the day that has been set aside to celebrate the male folk. Unfortunately, on this set, I remember having a fight with Oyai because she did not say a word of appreciation to me on this set though, just like most of us men were not celebrated on that day, November 19th. So today, we'll be having that conversation to find out why this is so. But beyond that concern, we'll look into the role of men in ensuring a balanced home, a balanced society. We'll also look at some of the things that the men go through and some of the myths and misconceptions, especially things like men don't cry or men are not supposed to be crying. And men are supposed to endure and tolerate everything. I mean, literally painting a different narrative and image of what a male child should be like. Joining us this morning, live on set, is Mr. Ezekiel Lutang himself, a teacher and a strong advocate and strong voice when it comes to equity and treatment of both the male and the female gender as they truly deserve and ought to be treated. Good morning, Mr. Ezekiel. Welcome to Rise and Shine.
Thank you so much, Francis. Thank you, my sister.
Yay.
I greet you, every one of you watching us from wherever you're seated, from wherever you're living, from wherever you're working, every citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, of Kwara State, and you in particular. Welcome to the show. I'm here with you. I'm here with my hosts, and we see how we can do justice to the topic for the day.
Yeah, so talking about International Men's Day, and I don't know how it happened for this year. I didn't remember. I didn't remember I would have celebrated.
You know, I
didn't even celebrate my husband. It was when I got home at about 8 p.m. and it was like, today was International Men's Day. I said, what? You know, so I had to make use of medicine after death and try to do the celebrations. But we know that the day is set aside to have, you know, key conversations. We really don't talk about our men and the things that they go through: homelessness, the suicidal thoughts that stay with them, the violence that, you know, they encounter in the course of duty and responsibility. And also you're looking at how these people actually bring the home front together in terms of provision and all of that. So there's a lot of things. So there are like 6 pillars upon which the International Men's Day is celebrated. So you're looking at violence, you're looking at suicide, you're looking at you know, abuse, homelessness, and other issues that men face. But first of all, I think I'm going to ask, how do you feel as a man in 2024?
Well, as a man in 2024, I feel loved. Primarily because I have a very loving wife who cares about what I do and who is always there to support me. And then I feel honored that I've been able to find myself where I do find myself and to carry out 1 or 2 responsibilities, assignments both in the society and at home. And I feel equally blessed that I've had the opportunity to impart knowledge to the young ones as a teacher and also add spice to events of my clients as a compere. And also, I feel fulfilled that by the special grace of God, I've been able to do very little thing, though in the sight of God, humanly speaking, it would be something great as being great. But however, you, in the sight of God, will always need to do more and more. So as a Christian, I try to contribute a little of my time, give a little of my time and energy to ensure that the liturgies is always celebrated. Of course, I am a Catholic.
So, in 2024, because we are looking at the International Men's Day for 2024, as a man living in Nigeria, there has been a lot of people that have been affected by the economic status. How would you say that this has affected the psychology and the approach of men, the well-being of men generally in this year? How in communicating with men, all over the world? What are your thoughts?
When I was growing up, I grew up with this cliche: to be a man is not a day's job. And in recent times, I've come to see it. And however, in this present economic situation, it's actually a reality that to be a man is not a day's job. The economy is harsh, fine. And I'm trying to ensure that you pay your bills, trying to ensure that you please one or two persons, those ones that are unavoidable, rather. It's not an easy going stuff. So today we are talking about a couple of days ago where we celebrated the International Men's Day, and for men to do what they do, to put food on the table, for men to be able to live their life and managing the raised BP that comes with so much of expectations, it's a very huge cross. But we thank God that we are still surviving. We thank God that they're still going through all these things, and we continue to be happy. Of course, we have one or two things that keeps us happy, so we keep going.
One or two things that keeps us happy. Please, I think I'll be talking to. I think I should be the one talking to both of you.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, one or two things.
Are you trying to turn me into it?
Yes. I think I should talk to both of you. I'm the woman here, and we're talking about men, and both of you are men. So just enjoy. Yeah. So one or two things that make men happy. What are some of the things that make men happy? I'll quickly take that from you, and I'll take that from you.
It depends on the status of the man now.
Okay.
Whether as a bachelor or as a married man. Because even though you're a bachelor, you have responsibilities. Okay. Perhaps you're the most senior in your family, or perhaps you're the most endowed in your family financially. So of course you have a number of persons that will be dependent on you. Okay. And you're married, of course, you know that you're primarily a backbone, a background, a support to the entire family. So all others lean on you. Thank God for you having a good supportive wife that complements what you do. So when I say one or two things that keeps a man happy, you go to work, you come back, you see your children smiling, and you discover that they are kicking with life. It gives you joy. You return from work, maybe on your way, or you're about to close, your wife calls you. Maybe you had a long day, and she, baby, where are you? What do you care to have for the evening or something? Or there's this event that we're supposed to go to, and we're supposed to dress it together. I want you to come along with me. It's going to be fun. That gives you joy. Okay. You can also sit with one or two friends. You hang out with guys and do one or two content of the bottle responsibly. You chat societal issues and all that. You catch fun, crack jokes and all that. It gives you joy. It makes you happy. And then by the time you return, we call it in our language efruwa. As a quiet people, we call it efruwa. So you go out there
and forget about your sorrows.
Your sorrows, and then you return home rejuvenated to face what you expected to face. Yeah.
I think that really sounds really good. So, I mean, in the simple things of life, you're trying to tell us all about the world this morning that the men appreciate those simple calls of acknowledgement of, how can I be of help to you?
A man, there is no law that says a man can't be pampered. So a man has to be pampered. A man has to feel being loved. A man can once in a while be impulsive, and a man can equally be vulnerable. So the vulnerability of a man comes with the fatigue of his responsibility. So when the man is being encouraged, oh, come on, the man becomes happy. It makes him the man he should be.
I think that's something to talk about. Francis, what do you do as a single man to be happy? Because I think he's coming for the microphone. Yeah, you are my guest this morning. What do you do as a man to be?
I'll need to tell you to keep it calm this morning.
Yeah.
I don't understand where she's coming
Talk
from
to me
all of a
about it.
sudden. But being a single person comes with the pros and cons, depending on your family background, depending on the reality that you find yourself. There are single persons who have a whole lot of responsibilities to deal with when it comes to the family background. And there are single persons who also have, they get to live this carefree life because, I mean, you don't have a wife, you don't have children, and then you're completely detached from your family members, you know, depending on, your role as well and the position you occupy in the family. But for most single person, maybe you are the first child of the family, single, you still have the responsibility to take care of your brothers and sisters. You still have the responsibility of taking care of your parents. So those responsibilities puts a burden. And how do you feel fulfilled? That you wake up in the morning and you look around and you see that your parents are in good health, and you see that your family members are in good health. You see that each and every person that is dependent on you is feeding properly. They go around about their normal duties and other functions, and they're happy. And then, of course, they know that at any point in time they reach out to you and need your presence or your assistance, you're able to offer that. So for the single man who is devoted to himself and his family, the first point of fulfillment is knowing that you're able to take care of the responsibilities that comes to you, and then the people who look up to you are well taken care of. And then you go from the family to the career or the business space. Another way we feel fulfilled, we feel happy, we feel complete and whole and accomplished is when you look at your life in the business world that you are in and you see that your business is thriving. You know, on a daily basis, you're breaking new grounds, you're getting to expand your business. And then on the career part, you also wake up and see that year in, year out, you're not where you started out in that career. You've made some advancement, you've expanded, you've gained some knowledge. Literally you have a way of measuring your growth and accomplishment within the, career path that you've chosen for yourself. And then with those indicators, you're able to look back every time of the day or at some point and say, yes, I'm a fulfilled person. And then, of course, with that fulfillment comes that feeling of accomplishment, that feeling of joy and excitement. And then, of course, your family by extension will also, imagine being the first child of the family, you're not married. By the time you get back home, your mom, literally, the same way she has, served everybody, would have kept your own reserved food, and you just step into the house. You go have your shower and then, the food is there. So mom still, for most, singles who are within the family setting, your mom still plays the role of a mother, filling in the gap that your wife would have or would play once she comes into the picture. So it gives the single male who are within that space that completeness that would also come when they get married.
So I see that, you're saying that an average single man would get a lot of joy from responsibilities.
Exactly.
So responsibility does bring them fulfillment. That's a beautiful thing to see. So we are seeing our men tie fun and joy and wholeness to responsibility, and I feel that that's still a lot. So duty begs on them. But let's push in the conversation this morning. Now, the International Day for Men in 2024 talks about men's health champions. So there's a lot of health concerns that we're beginning to talk about more where men are concerned. But I'm going to come from the emotional health first of all. Our guest talked about vulnerability where a man is concerned, and now that's a very what will I call it? It's a new word where men are concerned. I think it's even in the 21st century, in the last 10 years, that we're really trying to have the conversation that, hey, men can be vulnerable. Men should be vulnerable because from emotionally and mentally, it also affects your, entire health. So let's talk about men and vulnerability. How do you get there as a man, and how do you sustain that?
Okay. You see, we say different strokes for different folk. Vulnerability is very relative when it has to do with the two genders, male and the female. The vulnerability of the woman has to do with when she's being subdued by the man, and which could, of course, degenerate into violence, domestic violence, or even in society. But when it comes to the male gender, you see, a man is burdened from birth with responsibilities. At home, when we say division of labor, you discover that on Saturdays, for instance, you have to embark on sanitation. A man will be told to do this, do that, do this, do that, cut the lawn, tidy up the environment, while the sisters will just clean up the kitchen and prepare your food, for you with mommy's supervision and all that. Okay, growing up, a man begins to face the challenges of the larger society. And a man is being conditioned to, this is what you should do. This is what you should not do. This is how you approach issues with the opposite sex. This is how you should handle matters with your wife. And when you try to do this, you are not being appreciated. The effort you make is not being complimented. So you discover that the man feels demeaned. The man feels slighted. And the man feels being attacked. His ego is being punctured. Because he knows, there is some way in the society that says, if you go hard on the woman, you'll be brought to book. The law is waiting for you to deal with you. But come on, you see a woman punch a man in public. And nobody talks about it. In a bus, in a taxi, on the pedestrian walkway, these things happen in our society. No one talks about it. But let that man, after several blows or slaps from a woman, the man decides to say, it's here. Let me just give her a punch to take her away. The law enforcement officers will come and then push every blame on the man. So already, the man feels vulnerable. The man knows, I am helpless in the society. It's just as a teacher being reprimanded by his boss in front of his students. Your ego is being punctured. And in fact, you are making you're giving a point and sending a signal to the students that this particular teacher is not to be respected. So anytime the teacher gets into the class, the first thing, something about the mind of the children. Children are very innocent. When they grow up, there's this philosopher, this psychologist that says that the mind of a child is very blank and sticky. It's tabula rasa. So anything that comes in sticks, especially the ones that gives them fun, source of fun. So being reprimanded in front of them and you are their teacher, it's fun for them. So the moment you approach, you enter into the class, the first thing that comes to their mind is, what did the principal do to this man and all that? So a child could be lost in thought, enjoying the scenario he or she had witnessed, but forgets about, in fact, is being distracted from the lesson. So the man there is just wasting his time. The woman there is just wasting his time saying, I'm teaching this child, not knowing that the mind's child is not, the child's mind rather is not there. So in the same vein, when you puncture the ego of a man, we're not saying that a man should be a tyrant. No, a man should respect his boundaries when he has a relationship with the woman. And the woman should equally compliment that effort made by the man.
Would you say that, apart from, so you've already pointed out that society may not be giving us a lot of room for our men to be vulnerable, would you say that the women in the lives of these men are giving them room to be vulnerable? Because, I mean, sometimes that's the argument. But I want you to tie that to my other question, which is, do you think that men are actually doing enough for society? Do you think that men are standing up enough as pillars of society for us to see a better society? Because, I mean, it looks like a lot of things are failing, and we're having less and less honorable men speaking up.
The men are doing a whole lot to make sure that the society is balanced, to make sure that there is love in society. When I said love, I don't mean the erotic kind of love. I mean the friendliness. How do you approach issues with your neighbor? Now look at it. The society today, for instance, the last election, the various political parties said women who are interested in a particular political office come pick the funds for free. I think that's something. That's a good embrace that the women should come into the polity of the society. Okay. The men are equally. We have a lot of men who are advocates for gender equality, and there are some who have even gone beyond that to be feminists. You know, so the men are doing their work. The men are making sure that they are going out there to make things work in the society. You know, various offices, various responsibilities. They come home, they still, you know,
keep the fort.
Keep the fort. So you see, so a man is always there doing his work. It's only that in the society today we are trying to kill that harmful traditional practice that the woman has no value in the society. We're trying to see how to bring to the fore that a woman can equally be educated as the man. A woman can actually do this kind of work. It's not a masculine. There is no law that says that this work is tied to the masculine gender or to the feminine gender. Of course, we now see that women are riding tricycles, you know, and driving buses, commercial buses. The other day, I saw a woman drive a long truck. You know, so these things are being done. You go to building sites, women are laborers. So what is good for the goose is good for the ganders. So, in as much as the man is the head, the man takes the lead in the society, the man can equally be vulnerable.
Okay.
The man can feel, can enjoy his ego. The man can equally suffer from his ego being punctured.
Francis, I think I'm going to take a wrap-up word from you. Is it a question? Is it a word? What do you have to say? Of course, we're out of time.
Well, generally, I think I personally have showed my vulnerability in and outside. And that's my way of telling men all over the world that it's okay for you to, you know, show those weaknesses. And it's actually a source of strength. If you look at, you know, counseling psychology for vulnerability in men, you'll clearly understand that being vulnerable is a sign of strength, not a sign of weakness, as society has made us to understand from when we were growing up. And once you understand that you're being vulnerable is a sign of strength and not a sign of weakness, then you are on the path to liberation as a man, and you'll be able to take the decisive steps and actions that is required of you. On the other side, we, men and women, we form part of the society, and we need to realize that the more we try to cave men or push men to that corner of not being vulnerable, the more animals, the more idiots, the more abusers we're going to build out of men in the society.
All right, so vulnerability is actually a form of strength, and every man should actually embrace vulnerability. Of course, it will come back to affect your quality of life, the quality of your health, the quality of society that you have around you. Our guest this morning has said, embrace your vulnerability, embrace your ego, and let the people around our men make sure not to puncture their ego. It's been a good conversation this morning, looking into the eyes of our men, of course, in honor of the 2024 International Men's Day that talked about men's health champions. Of course, there's a lot of things our men are combating to be there for us every day. Make sure that you make a man smile today. On behalf of Spectrum Television, I must say a big thank you to you, our guest, Mr. Ezekiel, for coming on the show this morning, and of course, throwing up the conversation of male vulnerability. We're super excited to have the conversation with you.
Thank you.
Well,
and thank you to me for also being a guest.
Francis, thank you for coming to my rice talk this morning, and cashing in on what the men have to do. It's been a great conversation, but we need to draw the curtains. Tomorrow is Lifestyle Friday. Trust me, we're going to be dragging this conversation up to Friday, so you really want to be a part of Rise and Shine tomorrow. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. I am Uyai Amen.
And I am Francis Adet. I'm feeling relaxed already, so enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye-bye for now.